Hello everyone, welcome to the session of Fluid Power System. So I am Purushottam, working as Assistant Professor in the Department of Mechanical Engineering, Maharaja Institute of Technology, Mysore. In the previous session, we learnt what you mean by pumps and classification of pumps. Under that, positive displacement rotary type gear pumps. That is construction and working of external gear pumps, internal gear pumps and lobe pumps and G-rotor pumps. So today's session is about vane pumps and piston pumps. So first we look into the vane pumps. So coming to vane pumps, these vane pumps which comes under positive displacement rotary type pump. So the working principle of these vane pumps which involves increasing volume and decreasing volume. That means when the volume increases, which create cavity that permits atmospheric pressure to force the fluid into the inlet chamber. So when the volume decreases, then the fluid is forced out of into discharge port. Now coming to the first one, in vane pumps we have two types. So the first one is balanced vane pumps and unbalanced vane pumps. Unbalanced vane pumps. So we are looking one by one. So this one, the figure which represents the schematic representation of vane pump. So this will be the unbalanced type. So now coming to the construction, so which contains a rotor, the rotor which is mounted on the driving shaft. So as the driving shaft rotates, then which in turn rotates the rotor, this rotor, so which is rotating within the cam ring. So this will be the cam ring, so within which the rotor will be rotated. So this will be the driving shaft. So this will be the driving shaft. With the help of this driving shaft, the rotor which is going to rotate. Then the rotor which is having radial slots. So each slot which contains a vanes. So each slot which contains vane like this. So then which is designed in such a way that these vanes, then if you observe this, so the concentric, that is the rotor and the cam ring which is not concentric. So there is offset by some distance, so which is called as eccentricity. So due to this eccentricity, we can see the pumping chamber. So there is a gap formed between the rotor and the cam ring due to this eccentricity, so which is called as pumping chamber. After that, during the first half of the rotation, so while rotating counterclockwise during the first half of the rotation, so what will happen, the vanes which moves outside, then if you observe this, which increases the volume here, which increases the volume. As the volume increases, the pressure will reduces. As the volume increases, the pressure will reduces, then which permits the atmospheric pressure to force the fluid into the chamber and fill this cavity. So after during the second half of the rotation, so this will be called as suction process. In the second half of the rotation, so the vanes which is having contact with the cam ring which is moving inside the radial slots, so that will decreases the volume. As the volume decreases, then the fluid which is ejected out through the outlet port of the pump, So then the volumetric displacement which is directly proportional into the eccentricity. In vane pump, the volumetric displacement which is directly proportional to the eccentricity. If you keep on increasing the eccentricity, then volumetric displacement will be more. If you are reducing the eccentricity, then volumetric displacement will be less. If the eccentricity is 0, that means both are concentric. That is the rotor and the cam ring, when which becomes concentric, then eccentricity is 0, then there is no flow of fluid into the pump. So then there is no pumping action. So then if you observe this, for each revolution of the rotor, so we are getting discharge fluid or pressurized fluid only in half revolution. So there is some unbalance in the hydraulic system. So that's why which is called as unbalanced vane pump. Unbalanced vane pump. So that means while operating at higher pressures, so this will lead to some vibration. So which is why which is called as unbalanced vane pump. Next we move on to the balanced vane pumps. So balanced vane pump, so the schematic representation of balanced vane pump is shown in figure. Now as usual, which is having a rotor, this will be the rotor which is connected to the drive shaft. As the drive shaft rotates, the rotor which in turn rotates, then this rotor which is going to rotate within a cam ring. This will be the cam ring. So this will be the rotor, so which is going to rotate within a cam ring. So then the rotor which contains a radial slots, so each slot which contains a vanes which is designed in such a way that has to meet the surface of the cam ring. So the vanes which is going to meet the surface of the cam ring. Then in balanced vane pumps, so we can see two inlet ports. So this will be one inlet port and this will be another inlet port. Then two outlet ports, they are placed diametrically opposite to each other. So this will be the inlet ports which are diametrically opposite to each other, and this will be the outlet ports which will be diametrically opposite to each other. Then these two inlet ports which is connected to the common inlet, and these two outlet ports which is connected to the common outlet. So due to pressure ports which are opposite to each other, then we can achieve a hydraulic balance in this type of vane pump. So hence which is called as balanced vane pump. Then coming to operation, so when the rotor which is going to rotate anti-clockwise direction, so from here, so when the fluid is inlet, that is when the rotor which starts to rotate in anti-clockwise direction, then there will be increase in the volume. So just because the vanes which is going to move outwards towards the cam ring, so that will increase the volume. As the volume increases, the pressure will be reduces, then atmospheric pressure, due to atmospheric pressure, the fluid will enters into the cavity. So as the rotation continues, the vanes which move inside the radius slot, then finally that will decreases the volume. Hence the pressurized fluid which ejects out through the outlet port. The pressurized fluid which is going to eject out through the outlet port. Then coming to this here, so this will be the where there is no volume, that is decrease in volume. Again when the vanes which starts to move outward direction, which causes increase in the volume, then the fluid will enter. Again when the volume decreases, the fluid which is going to eject from the pump. So this cycle will continue. So that is increase in volume, decrease in volume, increase in volume, decrease in volume. So that means we are getting pressurized fluid continuously in the balanced vane pump. Pressurized fluid continuously in the balanced vane pump. Then one of the advantage here is, so if you observe this, so the cam ring which is not in circular shape, which is elliptical shape, hence which forms two pumping chambers which are diametrically opposite or opposite to the rotor. Due to these two pumping chamber, we can produce continuous pressurized fluid from this vane pump, and due to which we can achieve high operating pressures. Then one of the main disadvantage of this balanced vane pump is this cannot be designed for variable displacement capability or variable displacement pump by using balanced vane pump. So next we move on to the volumetric displacement of vane pumps. So to calculate this volumetric displacement in vane pumps, so I am referring this figure. So as we know that, so the rotor and the cam ring which is not concentric, they are offset by some distance which is called as eccentricity. And as I said before, the volumetric displacement which is directly proportional to eccentricity. So volumetric displacement which is directly proportional to eccentricity. So for the derivation purpose, I am using some notations here. So where the DC which is equal to diameter of the camring in meter, dr which is equal to diameter of the rotor, L which is width of the rotor or vane, then Vd is pump volumetric displacement, E is the eccentricity, E max is maximum possible eccentricity and Vd max is maximum possible volumetric displacement. Now coming to this one, so the maximum eccentricity E max which is given by, so now if you observe this, so this will be from ear to ear, so this will be the radius of the camring, I will call it as RC. Then from ear to ear, so this will be the radius of the rotor, I will call this as RR. Then if you observe this RC minus RR, then you will get eccentricity. So RC minus RR, you will get eccentricity, that is RC minus RR. So which is get eccentricity. So I am going to convert this in terms of diameter. So that is DC by 2 minus dr by 2. So which is equal to DC minus dr divided by 2. DC minus dr divided by 2. So the maximum volumetric displacement, so that is Vd max which is given by, so pi by 4 dc square minus dr square into width of the rotor. So L means width of the rotor or vane. So that is area into width, which will give the maximum volumetric displacement. Now pi by 4, so d square minus dr square, which is in the form of a square minus b square form, that is a square minus b square, which is equal to a plus b into a minus b, that is dc plus dr into dc minus dr into L. So first I will call this as equation 1 and I will call this as equation 2. Now substitute equation 1 in equation 2. So then which leads to Vd max which is equal to pi by 4 into dc plus dr, then in the place of dc minus dr I am going to replace which by 2 times of E max, 2 times of E max into L, So this will be the maximum possible volumetric displacement. Then finally the actual volumetric displacement which occurs when E max which becomes equal to E. So E max which becomes equal to E, so which is given by, that is Vd max, then which becomes equal to Vd, that is pump volumetric displacement, then which is given by pi by 4 into dc plus dr, then 2 times of E max, that can be replaced by E just because this will be the actual one. Then if you simplify this one, 2 ones are 2 twos are, then finally the actual volumetric displacement is given by pi by 2 dc plus dr E into L. So from this equation with significance, the volumetric displacement in vane pumps. So next we move on to the numerical problems on vane pumps. So we derived equation for volumetric displacement in vane pumps. So by using that equation, we are going to calculate the volumetric displacement in vane pumps as well as some eccentricity problems. So first I will read out the problem. A vane pump has a rotor diameter of 50 millimeter and a camring diameter of 75 millimeter. and a vane width of 50 mm if the eccentricity is given as 8 mm, determine the volumetric displacement. Determine the volumetric displacement. So first I will extract the data from the problem. So that means in a vane pump, so they are given the diameter of the cam ring and diameter of the ring, diameter of the rotor as well as the eccentricity. So we need to calculate the volumetric displacement. So for this correct design, what should be the maximum volumetric displacement? So for this, so what they are given, the diameter of the rotor diameter is given, which is 50 mm. So I will take this as dr 50 mm. So I will specify in meters. So I will represent this in meter, that is 0.05 meter. Then a cam ring diameter is also given, that is 75 mm. So I will take this as DC, diameter of the cam ring, so which is 75 mm. So I am going to represent in meter, that is 0.075. Then a vane width is also given, which is also given, so which is represented by L, so that is 50 mm, so which is nothing but 0.05 meter. Then the eccentricity which is also given, which is 8 millimeter. So that is eccentricity is 8 millimeter, so which is equal to 0.008 meter. Then we need to find out the volumetric displacement, that is we need to calculate Vd. So we know that the actual volumetric displacement is given by Vd, which is equal to pi by 2 times of dc plus dr E into L. So where dc is the diameter of the cam ring, dr is the diameter of the rotor, E is the eccentricity, L is the width of the rotor as well as width of the vane. Just because as the rotor width, so on the same width the vane which is going to place on the radial slot, we are going to place the vane. So width of the rotor as well as the width of the vane both are same. So I am going to substitute the values here. So pi by 2, so DC is 0.075 plus dr is 0.05, then eccentricity is 0.008, then width is 0.05. So if you simplify this, then you will get 0.0000785 meter cube. So that is volumetric displacement, which is given by 0.0000785 meter cube. So in terms of, if you are going to represent it in terms of liters, so as we know that 1 liter, so which is equal to 0.001 meter cube. 0.001 meter cube. So if you represent this volumetric displacement in liter, then so by this equation, so if you substitute this one, then you will get volumetric displacement in liter as 0.785 liters. So moving on to the next problem. So first I will read out the problem. A vane pump is to have a volumetric displacement of 5 inch cube. It has a rotor diameter of 2 inch and cam ring diameter of 3 inch and a vane width of 2 inch. Then what must be the eccentricity? So in this problem they are given volumetric displacement as well as the rotor diameter and cam ring diameter. So we need to find out the eccentricity between those two. So for this, first I will extract the data. So whatever they are given, so volumetric displacement is 5 inch cube, that is Vd is 5 inch cube. So I will keep the units in inch itself because all the dimensions are in inch. So I will keep it in inch itself. Then rotor diameter, that is dr, is 2 inch. Then camber diameter is 3 inch. Camber diameter is 3 inch. Then width of the vane is 2 inch, that is L, which is equal to 2 inch. Then we must find out the eccentricity. So as we know that, so volumetric displacement, which is equal to pi by 2 times of dc plus dr into E into L. Okay. Now I will substitute the things. Pi by 2 into dc is 3 inch, then dr is 2 inch, eccentricity is unknown, then L is, that is width of the vane is 2 inch. So we know the value of Vd also, that is phi. If you are simplify this, then you will get eccentricity, which is equal to 0.318 inches. 0.318 inches. So in the same way, we are moving on to the next one. So a vane pump has a volumetric displacement of 82 centimeter cube. The diameter of the rotor is 50 mm and that of cambering is 75 mm. Then the width of the vane or rotor is 40 mm. Then find the maximum eccentricity. In this problem also we need to find out the eccentricity. So for this, the data will be, so volumetric displacement is given, that is Vd is given 82 centimeter cube. So they are given in centimeter cube, I need to convert in meter cube. So for this, as we know that 1 centimeter, which is equal to 10 power minus 2 cube, that is 82 into 10 power minus 6 meter cube. Then the diameter of the rotor is 50 mm. Diameter of rotor is 50 mm. Convert this into meter, that is 0.05 meter. Okay. Then diameter of cambering is 75, that is DC, which is 75 mm. So in terms of meter, that is 0.075 meter. Then width of the vane or rotor, as I said before, so width of the vane and rotor both are same. So which is given, that is L value is given, that is 40 mm. So which is given by 0.04 meter. So we need to find out the eccentricity. So we know the basic equation, volumetric displacement, which is given by pi by 2 times of dc plus dr into eccentricity into width. So which is given by, so width is given, volumetric displacement is given by 82 into 10 power minus 6 pi by 2 dc plus dr. So dc is 0.05, dr is 0.075, then eccentricity is unknown, then value of L, that is width of the vane, is 0.04. If you solve this, you will get eccentricity, which is equal to 0.01044 meter. So in terms of millimeter, which can be represented as 10.44 millimeter. So these are the some of the problems based on the vane pump. Next we move on to the piston pumps. So the piston pumps which comes under positive displacement reciprocating type of pumps. So the piston pumps which works on the principle of when the piston reciprocates, which will draw the oil inside, so while retracting, and which ejects or discharge while it extends. So based on this principle, the piston pumps will work. Then in piston pumps we can see axial piston pumps as well as radial piston pumps. So axial piston pumps means the pistons are arranged parallel to the axis of the cylinder block. So which is called as axial piston pumps. In radial piston pumps, the pistons which are radially arranged on the cylinder block, which is called as radial piston pumps. So in axial only, we are having two conditions: inline axial piston pumps, bent axis axial piston pumps. Inline axial piston pumps means where the axis of the driving shaft and the cylinder block axis both are in same line. so both are parallel to each other, while in bent axis the axis of the driving shaft and the axis of the cylinder block which is occurred at some angle, so which is called as bent axis. Now let us see one by one. So the first one is axial piston pump. In that, so which is swash plate design, which is also called as inline axial piston pump. So coming to the first one, that is axial piston pump swash plate design, which is also called as inline design. So here we can see that the axis of the drive shaft as well as the axis of the cylinder block both are in same line. So that's why which is called as inline design. Then the pistons which are arranged mutually parallel to each other and around the circumferential periphery of the cylinder block. So this will be the cylinder block. Around the cylinder block, the pistons which are arranged around the circumferential periphery. So then the pistons, so here in this case either the cylinder block can rotate or the swash plate which can rotate. So here the piston rods which is connected to the piston shoe. So here we can see the piston shoe, so which is interconnected to the swash plate, which is interconnected to the swash plate. So either cylinder block can rotate or swash plate can rotate, so that will cause the piston to reciprocate to and fro. So if the cylinder block rotates, then which is called as fixed cam plate or fixed swash plate. If the swash plate which rotates, then which is called as wobble plate. So here in fixed cam plate, in case of fixed swash plate, so that when the cylinder block which is going to rotate, then so that rotation which in turn induced on the piston shoe, so the piston shoe which is going to move on the surface of the swash plate, So since the swash plate which is inclined at an angle with respect to the driving shaft or axis of the pistons, so this will cause the pistons to move to and fro, So then during off rotation, so the piston which is going to retract, that means which is going to extract the oil. So through the inlet port, the oil will enter into the chamber during the another second half of the rotation. So the piston which is going to extend, so that means which will discharge the oil through the outlet port, So here, so the theta, that is the swash plate angle with respect to the driving shaft. So by varying this, we can increase the volumetric displacement. That means the volumetric displacement which mainly depends on this swash plate angle. So we can convert this design into variable displacement capable pump. So for this, so if the swash plate angle theta increases, then which increases the stroke, so which in turn increases the volumetric displacement. If theta is less, then which reduces the stroke, so which in turn decreases the volumetric displacement. If theta is 0, that means when this plate, swash plate which becomes perpendicular to the axis of the driving shaft, this theta becomes 0 like this. When the swash plate which becomes like this, then when the theta becomes 0, then there is no flow. Of the fluid into the chamber, then there is no pumping action. So by this way, by varying the swash plate angle, we are going to vary the volumetric displacement, hence which is called as variable displacement pump. So the maximum swash plate angle we can vary, so which is equal to 17.5 degree. So this will be the maximum angle that can be set for swash plate. Next we move on to the axial piston pump bent axis design. So if you are seeing this, so the axis of the drive shaft and axis of the cylinder block which is offset or which is having relatively some angle, that's why which is called as bent axis. Then the pistons which are arranged mutually parallel to each other around the circumferential periphery of the cylinder block, then the piston rods which is connected to the driving shaft through the flange. So this will be the flange. So for this flange, the piston rods which are connected. Then the driving shaft as well as the cylinder block which are connected by using universal link. By using universal link, we are going to connect the driving shaft with the cylinder block at an angle. So this will ensure some alignment. So when the cylinder block which is going to rotate, due to the offset angle of driving shaft flange and the cylinder block, the piston will start to reciprocate. So where there is in the reciprocation, when which retracts, then the oil which enters into the chamber, when it extends, the oil which ejects out of the chamber, that is pressurized oil which is ejects out of the chamber. So here also this design which can be used for variable displacement pump. So here by varying the angle theta, we can change the volumetric displacement. So if the angle theta which is more, then volumetric displacement is I. If the angle theta which reduces, then volumetric displacement is less. If the theta is 0, that is the axis of the driving shaft, then axis of the cylinder block, or both are in same line. If the theta is 0, then there is no flow into the chamber, then there is no pumping action and there is no volumetric displacement. So the angle theta, that is vary from 0 to 30 degree. We can vary the theta from 0 to 30 degree in bent axis design. That means by varying the angle theta, so we can regulate the volumetric displacement, hence which is called as volumetric displacement